Everybody, my name is Ed. Okay, another comic book haul. Uh, Hopefully, this video is not going to be too long. I did want to talk about a few things. Uh, One thing I want to talk about was I saw Howler Mouse's one of recent video, not the most recent one he put up with the review of Legion of Superheroes, but the one he put up before that, where he's talking about Comicsgate and trying to watch some of those videos. And I actually pretty much agree with a lot of what he said in them. The whole thing was like he watched them, and it's like, that whole movement has like kind of been taken over by lots of like pettiness and infighting, and he's 100% right about that. I had kind of like stepped away from all that stuff for a while, but after watching his video and then watching a couple other videos, I try to kind of get back into it, and yeah, putting aside, how I feel politically and how I might feel about certain people who make certain types of videos and whatnot. I mean, I did say I did leave a comment on his stream about how I felt like, yeah, there are probably like just regular people who were part of the regular comic books community who probably aligned themselves with Comicsgate, who actually probably had, valid points to make about, the type of comics that Marvel or whoever were putting out, a couple of years ago. But there was a lot of people who were like, I felt were like really disingenuous actors and just cashing in on like fake outrage. I've seen more than one or two videos where people would hold up some comic and completely misrepresent what was being said in it, and what, what I mean, and all this stuff about getting into Twitter feuds with people, with creators and stuff, and for hits and clicks and money, you know what I mean. But like I said, after going away from it and getting back into it, it's shocking, like the level of pettiness that the infighting among that crowd has gotten. I mean, Howard was 100% right. Tim was 100% right, where he's like, it's grown people acting like high schoolers. People are putting up these videos about how they're done with the scene because somebody said something about somebody on this live stream, and it was who called who fat and who's making fun of whose voice, and all this kind of craziness. And of course there's the whole thing about, how come this comic book professional who's part of Comicsgate is not promoting my book, but they're promoting the books of their friends and stuff like that. So yeah, I just think it's interesting. It's interesting. Okay, so one thing I wanted to talk about, I did see a couple movies recently. Saw Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I enjoyed it while I was watching it. I liked it for the most part, but afterwards, I wish it could have been a little bit more substantive. Had a little bit more substance to it. So I don't know exactly what I wanted out of it. Maybe either more in a way of plot, or more in a way of having character interaction between the leads, or even just more informative about Hollywood in that time during the 60s or whatever. I really felt I didn't learn a whole lot that I didn't already know, and I thought that was kind of a missed opportunity. And I also do kind of agree with some people who say that they feel that Margot Robbie was kind of wasted in that movie. And I kind of, while watching it, I kind of understand what Quentin Tarantino was doing, where it's basically just showing her as Sharon Tate going throughout her day and running errands and things like that, and she really didn't do a whole lot interesting. And I get how he's trying to build suspense between that and what we know happened in real life versus what happened in at the end of that movie. But yeah, Margot Robbie's, she's funny, she's a decent actress, she's very charming. It's just a shame that this guy meaning Quentin Tarantino, who's known for being able to, write interesting characters and great dialogue, just didn't use her in a more interesting way. Saw the Joker movie, really liked the Joker movie. what do I want to say about that? I kind of get where some people are coming from. The first act of that movie is basically Taxi Driver, and then the last act is king of comedy. You know, I'm not being original by saying that. Although I will say that last act, not the exact last scene, but that whole bit, without giving too much away, the Joker pit. I'm not telling anybody anything you can't get from the trailer. Joker appears on a talk show. You know, that's basically king of comedy by way of Frank Miller's Dark Knight Returns. There's a similar scene in that comic, and and then when the big thing happens, they actually steal a transition from if anybody's ever seen an old movie called Network, you know, Faye Dunaway. So that was interesting. Oh, one other interesting thing about that was in the end credits, they say something to the effect of, with special thanks to the works of Brian Boland, Frank Miller, I want to say J.M. DeMatteis, Keith Giffen, and Irv, is it Novick? So the Brian Boland thing, I'm sure it's, you know, Dark Knight Returns. They probably didn't give Alan Moore credit because Alan Moore always takes his names off of any comic book adaptations that are done of his work. Frank Miller, of course, Dark Knight Returns. I'm curious as to what comic the Keith Giffen, J.M. DeMatteis, Irv Novick was. You know, I can't think of what it might have been off the top of my head. It must have been something that I don't know. I'm just trying to think of when those guys were really active. It must have been some 80s thing that I just totally missed or whatever. So yeah. Oh, another interesting thing though is like kind of reactions you see of people like on YouTube and stuff. It's interesting to me that I see some things pop up where people say that it's an anti-political correctness movie or anti-PC movie or anti-SJW. I didn't really see that after watching it. You know, I'm not sure where people are necessarily getting that from. But okay, maybe in a line or two where, without giving too much away, one character asks the Joker, you know, are you part of this thing? And he says something like, no, I don't believe in anything or whatever. So maybe that's where people are getting it from. I've seen things for other people who probably would be, well, I'll say people who are actually like leftists or whatever, or saying like, oh yeah, see, this movie is a criticism of late stage capitalism or whatever. I'm not so sure I can see that a little bit clearer, but I don't really think that was the intent either. But it says something about the movie as a work of art, as a piece of entertainment, that different people from different, you know, political spectrums can enjoy it and get something meaningful out of it, you know, and interpret it in different ways. So I think that's a good thing. Although I also think it's pretty interesting that, again, going on how people on YouTube and social media react. I remember when Black Panther got like Academy Award nominations, and you had a bunch of people going like, "Oh, they're just being politically correct." But now it's like the Joker gets, you know, nominated, and it's like, "Oh, see, take that, PC people." Same Academy. It's the same Academy, man. So I don't know. Whatever. What else did I see? I saw The Irishman. I like that, but I don't have anything deep to say about it right now. So let's get into the comics here. Oh, this is interesting. I don't know how I wasn't aware of this, but I guess there's going to be a new comic book company, Upshot. I guess this is AWA. And this is, I guess the editor is Axel Alonso, right? But this has a lot of previews of some of the comics and stuff that are going to be coming out of here. And a lot of them look really interesting. There's some, you know, well-known, I don't know if you could tell any of these, but you could tell it's all very professionally done. Let me get some better shots here. But, you know, Michael J. Straczynski, Mike Deodato, Frank Cho, Garth Ennis. But a lot of it looks like some really good stuff, some really, like I said, well done, professional looking stuff. So most of the stuff here seems to be either crime stuff or mystery stuff or thriller stuff, quasi-horror things. It doesn't appear to be very much superhero stuff going on, at least so far, at least not in this preview, but I think I'm going to check some of this stuff out. They should be, this says fall 2019, but I guess these comics should start coming out, like, you know, between this month and next month, right? So yeah, let me see if I can find some Frank Cho up in here. Oh yeah. But yeah, there's some Frank Cho. What else is good? Let's see here. More crime stuff. Where's the Mike Deodato? I think it's in the front here. There we go. Okay, so yeah, I'll be checking out some of these titles. All right. Also got Marvel previews. All new Spider-Woman #1. The only thing about that, oh, this looks semi-interesting. I might pick up 1 or 2 issues of this. Strange Academy. So it looks like it's a school for magic, and I guess it's being run by Brother Voodoo. And the art is Humberto Ramos. And I guess it's written by Scotty Young. So I'll pick up at least 1 or 2 issues of that. I don't know if I'll stick with it, but we'll see. Oh, they did want to say this. Okay, Spider-Woman. Here's her new costume. And I am not a fan of that. Just not feeling it. Sorry. And Spider-Man Noir. Looks semi-interesting. And the other thing that I thought looked interesting was I'm looking at this Wolverine here. Only because Adam Kubert, or not Adam Kubert, Andy Kubert? No, yeah, Adam Kubert. Adam Kubert is drawing it, so I might check that out just because I like Adam Kubert's art. But, where is it? There is a Gwen Stacy comic supposed to be coming out. Oh, here it is. So I might check that out. And I wonder, it makes me wonder if it's because is the Mary Jane comic doing that well that they said they're going to put out a Gwen Stacy comic? Maybe. If so, great, awesome. You know what I mean? So that might be fun. All right, and the rest of this is just whatever. Okay, the rest of it just seems to be like kind of same old stuff. Okay, so just to show you the comics that I got this week. Heartbeat #3. Angela Della Morte, #3. Red Mother #2. Pretty Deadly number 5. Safe Sex number 5. The only superhero comic I got this week that's straight up mainstream superhero was Deadpool number 2. It is this storyline where Deadpool has been appointed king of the monsters or something. And then I finally got around to getting Fight Club 3 number 12. So this is the end of this series. Okay, and that is it. I've got to thank you very much for watching. You guys have a great day.